Hello everyone, and welcome back. As you may remember, this is my old Enercon E-126 model that I made about 8 months ago. And after a lot of thought, I decided I was going to go ahead and redo it. So here we are. So before I get too carried away in these models, I would just like to touch up on the turbine itself. The E-126 is a turbine that was first constructed in 2007 and had the title of the world's largest wind turbine all the way up until 2014 when it was overtaken by the Vestas V164. Now, back in the early to mid 2010s, back when I was much younger, wind turbines were one of the interests that really captured me before I got into any other stuff that I do now. And back then, this was the world's largest wind turbine, and that really just captured my interest in a way that no other turbine had. And now, even though it's nowhere near the largest, it's still my favorite wind turbine, and well, it's quite obvious at the fact that I have now built 2 of them. So now I'm going to pick up the camera and get a closer look at the models. I'll just quickly touch up on this one. Here's this guy. I have a full video of this one on my channel from a while ago. If you want to see more about this one, go ahead. And we're going to focus on this new, bigger model. So, as I said, this is the Enercon E-126 turbine, and I just would like to start from the base up and just talk about what I did differently in all of the kind of design implements I have done on this model. So, start right at the bottom. This base is a big, decorative plastic dish. I'm not entirely sure what it was intended for, but I found that at the thrift store, painted it green, and it made a decent base for this turbine. It's a little bit flimsy, but I have some supports under there, and I think that works out all right. Here's the base on the old one. This is a different color, and this is wood. And let's talk about the actual green sections of the turbine. Here's how I did it on the old one. It's the same process. This is a brush paint. I can go grab my paints. This is one paint. This one here. These are the paints that I used, and then I just brushed them on the individual sections because that's about the best way I could figure out to do the different colors here. And you just mix the green and the orange together to make a nice olive green, and I didn't put enough orange in here, so it's not quite as olivey as I'd like. This one, I went a lot more heavy on the orange, and you can see the color just turned out so much nicer on this turbine. Here you can see the vents, or the little fan units, or whatever they are, I'm not entirely sure. And then there's the door. But I really like the way that color turned out. I think it turned out really nice. Now the biggest difference here in the towers is the number of sections used. On this turbine, I have the 5 pieces with the green, got 2 white ones, a red one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 more white ones, and that makes up the whole tower. And that's, just did that to get it printed out relatively quickly. But on this new turbine, I really want to do it properly. So I made all of the segments. The real turbine has 35 tower segments. I made it into 37 for the sake of being able to paint these the right colors. But everything else here is the correct number of segments. So there's all of these different pieces that are all separate parts that stack together. Here's the red stripe. And then I've got the vents modeled on that. And it continues all the way up. You can see all of those tower segments up to the nacelle. So the nacelle is just a huge egg. The main difference with the nacelle, I did make the internal structure a little bit differently, actually quite a lot differently. Looks just about the same as the old one. However, this paint is different. I used silver paint on this to make this nacelle, and on this one I bought a paint called Driftwood, and it gives it a little bit better color. If you're familiar with this turbine, you know this is a color that these tend to be. And then on the back I've got the little work platform here, which is the correct color. Now I'm going to take this blade off just so I can take a better look at the nacelle. Alright, so here we go. I got this taken apart. Had a little bit of an accident. One of the blades separated. Had to get that glued back together. So now I can take a look at this. Here is the nacelle. Does have a little bit of a gap in it, but I think it looks okay. So, a couple improvements I did on this. First, I made this piece bigger on this model. On the old one, I think I made it a little bit too small. I also added a little window on the top for a little access to the roof. Underside, there is the little access door, and I don't have the logo on this. It's just really expensive to get printer ink to make that. And then on the front here, you can see I added this ring. This is new to this design, where the this kind of covers the gap between the nacelle and the hub, so you don't get that light shining through. And that's just held in with screws. And the nacelle doesn't quite line up the way that I'd like it to, but this is a very big long print. And this is my second time doing it. It turned out still better than the first one did, so I'm just gonna stick with it for now. Here's the top of the nacelle. And that color compared to the old turbine. Looking inside the nacelle, you can see the inside, how it's constructed. This is the hole with the rod that goes all the way through the tower. And then here are the ball bearings, which are just 1/2 inch outside diameter, 1/4 inch inside diameter. So that's that. Alright, so here I've got the hub sitting face down, just because it's less stress on it that way. And I've got the hub from the other turbine here, so we can set them like this and compare. So here are the two hubs. This is how I made the first one. This is how I made all the other turbines. The hub is a solid piece with the bolts that go through it. There's the axle that's glued in, a little spacer there. So this is all one piece. And on the new one, the hub piece that you see is not physically connected in any way. And there's an interior hub component that actually holds all the load. And then these spacers here, which are separate, that go in between the hub and the blade. And then this piece of rod here, this is actually able to be detached from the hub. It's not attached permanently, it's screwed on both sides. There's a nut inside there that this screws into, and then that means that I can remove this if I want to. Say I wanted to display this in a not completely put together way, I could take out this axle here, because it's obviously not very realistic, and then it would look just a little bit better. Here are the blades. This is actually the one that broke, but they turned out fine. I'm gonna actually put this one back on. Okay, just to make a little more room here. Here's the other one. So yeah, there's the hub. The blades are made of 3 pieces. Had a little bit of issue with the paint because this 3D print is such texture to it. It's difficult to get straight lines painted. Here's the front of the hub. I had to make it in 2 pieces, but it's all right. Here's the little adapters there for the blades. So there's the front. and the blades on the front, what they look like. So that's the hub. I'm gonna show you something else that I did with this turbine that I included, and that are these blade stumps. These are all glued together. They're not supposed to come apart, but on the real one, they're split into two pieces. So I can take this out and then add in these for the look of the turbine being constructed. Just another posing ability for this model. So I'll put that together and show you. All right, so I've got this disassembled just to kind of show it off a little bit better. So this is the blade, and I made this part flat so that it can be printed easily. And then this just slides right on there, and that's what goes into the hole in the hub cover. Now here's the hub cover. And I like with this model better than the other one is that it's completely hollow on the inside, makes it more realistic. You can see right through these holes. And I had to drill out a hole in here because I didn't make this deep enough, but you don't see that when it's put together. Here's the hub. See, here's the bolt on the other side. Just the way that's constructed. So now I'm going to put this together here with the blade stumps.
Can be tricky to get. There's the first one. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. Yeah, make sure these are all cleaned up properly.
It's just kind of a rough idea of the blade stump. Now I'm going to go put this on the turbine and we can see what that looks like. Here's an example of how it looks when it just has the blade stumps installed as opposed to the full blade. And obviously it wouldn't operate like this, but this is how it would have looked right after the hub assembly was installed, and then they would have to install the outer wing pieces. There aren't too many turbines that are put together this way, but that just kind of makes this turbine all the more interesting. So that's the feature I wanted to include with this model, and I think that turned out pretty cool. Now there is one more feature that this turbine allows, and that is the ability to feather the blades. In other words, turn the blades so they're out of the wind, and in this way the turbine would not be producing power and it would be standing idle, whether it was for maintenance, the winds were too high or too low. So just another posing ability that the small turbine had, but again can be done on this model. And I will also turn it around so you can see what it looks like from the side. Here is what the turbine looks like from the side in the feathered position. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video on my Enercon E-126 model. There'll be probably some more videos coming out of this in the near future, but for now, that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.